Tuesday Live, and I'm Cyril Stober. Tonight we have two topics. We'll be talking about the proliferation of small arms and light weapons and the APC congresses. But we begin with the APC Congress. Primaries and congresses down to the ward level are an integral part of the life of any political party. Now, the All Progressives Congress, APC, takes seriously with its held congresses in 34 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Now, the congresses are judged as successful in many quarters, although political analysts point out loopholes, which include stories of violence and parallel congresses. Now, how prepared are political parties to uphold internal democracy? And how well do parties understand healthy rivalry by accepting defeat when necessary? These are some of the issues we'll be considering, but first, let's get to see this report by Timothy Yusuf.
The birth of the governing All Progressives Congress, APC, elicited mixed reactions from Nigerians who see the new development as a major political event, which has far-reaching implications in the way politics is played in the country. Worthy of note is the amalgamation of different interest groups. Consequently, the APC was embraced by many as an alternative and opportunity for the country to witness transfer of power from one political party to the other. Many political players therefore believe that it is the transfer of power from one political party to another that is the true test of political stability in a democratic nation. On May 29, 2015, power was transferred for the first time in Nigeria's political history from the PDP to the APC after 16 years of PDP in government.
I think essentially when you talk about democracy, like our own kind of democracy in Nigeria, it's all about the people, the will and the wish of the people. And if democracy is about the people, democracy is about their wish. This is a country that was almost on its knee when the president took over. On its knee economically, it was on its knees technologically, it was also on its knees even by way of moral rightness, because the previous governments have pulled down the Nigerian democratic system to the knee because there was even no basic respect for rule of law, where impunity was the order of the day.
The party should stay united, focused, and support the ongoing reforms of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration and provide the platforms for the presidents and governors and others within the APC family who are doing very well, of course, to get re-elected.
Operating as a strong, united governing party, no doubt, has its own challenges, particularly on galvanizing efforts to sustain the virtue and ideology of the party. Worthy of note is the February 27th NEC decision that suggested that upon the expiration of the tenure of the current executives of the party at all levels, the executives be allowed to continue to serve in acting capacity for a period of 1 year. The outcome of that decision no doubt generated a lot of reactions, thereby exposing the party internal peace mechanism to public scrutiny. This is in view of Section 223 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, which provides for periodic election on a democratic basis for principal officers and members of the Executive Committee of political parties. According to the Constitution, election of the officers or members of the Executive Committee of a political party will be deemed to be periodical if done at regular intervals not exceeding 4 years. Article 17 of the party's constitution also provides for a 4-year tenure for its national and state executives, which is renewable for another 4 years. In respect to the above constitutional provisions, as part of peace-building initiative within the APC, the third NEC meeting of the APC in the year 2018 finally put to rest all issues and chart a new way to forge ahead. Part of the resolutions, after carefully re-examining the party's technical committee, was to create a waiver to amend Article 13 of the party's constitution to expand the scope of participation and allow serving executives recontest while still occupying their current positions. A step many, especially among the party members, described as timely and display of true internal party democracy.
the party leadership is not saying, oh, you are more powerful, we will accept your list. Oh, you are a minister, we will accept your list, and then come and fight over the list and see who will give more money for your list to enter. When is that? The party tries, and the leadership tries to put everybody together. No matter how acrimonious you both or 3 or 4 groups may be, we lock you inside one room and we make sure all of you agree and produce a result, because we don't just want to produce the kind of party that will produce party's candidates. We want to produce the kind of party and leadership of the party that everybody will go to the polls and fight to struggle for the party to win election at the presidency, at the governorship, at the senatorial, National House of Representatives, House of Assembly, and at every level of the party.
Consequently, the APC congresses therefore commenced with the ward and thereafter that of the local governments ahead of the state and then national convention.
It was peaceful, and a lot of the people that I were even expecting to raise an eyebrow, they were the first one to say, look, we must work together to see that these congresses goes well. And it came out to be the best, and I would say that that was the step in the right direction, and democracy at its best. So people have the right to, you know, agree or disagree. They have the right to agree or disagree. That is the love of democracy. Being able to engage others, not through violence, but peaceful engagement.
In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Well, the report sets the tone for the discussion. Let me introduce our guest to you. I'd like to welcome to this program Mr. Osita Okechukwu, who's Director General of the Voice of Nigeria. Thanks for being here.
Good evening, Nigeria.
We're also joined by Jide Udu, a political analyst. Thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good evening, Nigerians.
All right. Well, we always acquaint you with the procedure on this program. At the appropriate time, you can get to be part of it. The various platforms will be on your screen. We advise you take advantage of them. At the appropriate time, for those who will be calling in, turn down the volume of your TV set once your call gets through. And the best way to know that your call has been passed through to the studio is you'll see your name appear on screen. Once your name is on screen, it means your call is through. We encourage you to go straight to the point, ask your question or make a comment, and do remember to turn down the volume of your TV set. All right, so we're ready to go with our first topic tonight, which has to do with the APC congresses. Now, it's midway now from the wards to the local governments and leading up to Saturday for the state congresses. What's the party position on this?
For us at the APC, we are happy that it's a very big success. Success in the sense that about 10,000 wards of the country, we did well in up to 90% of the wards in the country. We also did well in over 700 local government areas in the country in the last Saturday. And we relied on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 1999. We relied on the Constitution of the APC and the guidelines churned out by the National Working Committee and approved by the National Executive Committee of the party, which says that one, if you want to be a delegate at the ward level, either as a state delegate or a local government area delegate, you have to go back to your ward. If you want to be a member of the 27-member executive committee of the ward level, and same with the local government level, you go back either to your ward or to the local government level. And they also made a provision for what we call the electoral panel that goes from one state to the other, from one local government area to the other, from each of the wards. And no member of the ward supervises the election in his own ward. So you transfer somebody from this ward to the other, from this state to the other, from this local council area to the other. And accordingly as well, it was also meant that the Independent National Electoral Commission should observe each of the elections. Then the Department of the Security Service, the police, and others who are also partners in progress, and the media. So it so happened that yes, there were few fatal incidents like James Overoye that was killed in Uwili South, and one hoodlum that was killed in Rivers State, and some other casualties in Benue. Otherwise, it turned out to be a very huge success.
All right, we'll return to you, but let's get the views of Jide Ojo. You watched, some of these congresses unfold. Right, what's your assessment?
I would say it's a fair, outcome, but a lot more was expected of the ruling party than what we saw on May 5th and on the 12th of May. Yeah, you can say the cup is half full or half empty, but as an observer, I'm not a political party member of any sort. What we have seen is a replication of what we used to see under PDP. Election by affirmation, by consensus, parallel congresses, violence, hijacking of election materials, touching of party secretariat, loss of lives. But I quite understand one thing. The party was very edgy conducting this Congress. Recall that on February 27, when the National Executive Council, National Executive Committee of the party met here in Abuja, they actually decided and voted for extension of the tenure of the current holders of party executives. And part of the reason was they felt they shouldn't go into election ahead of the general elections because of the likelihood of rancor and all of that. Before the presidency eventually of course, somebody went to court to challenge that. I listened to Timothy's report. Section 223 of the Constitution, Section 17 of the APC Constitution talked about periodic election every 4 years. So if you want to extend the tenure of the current executive of the party, it's in breach of constitution, which was the position that President Muhammadu Buhari himself affirmed on March 27 when they had the second National Executive Committee of the party. If the party has not been very edgy, perhaps maybe the preparation for this world local government and state congress will have been better than it was. Because just imagine 48 hours to the election, you are just inaugurating the electoral panel. Many of the electoral panels were arriving their places of deployment, a night before or even maybe early in the morning of the day of election. No credible election will happen under that kind of circumstance. Then you now have a scenario where you went with electoral materials to these words or local governments as it were, and then all you hear is, oh, we have decided by consensus to have the current executive continue in office. What's the whole essence of printing those materials? What's the whole essence of getting people to buy nomination form? And we hear in many places people buying people paying for nomination form which they never got. I mean, there are more than 10 states where delegates or those who wanted to contest aspirants were denied forms, even when they have paid for it. So for me, I'm a little bit disenchanted, not because I didn't understand the political dynamics of Nigeria, but when APC comes with the mantra of change, I had expected to see something better. But don't also forget that on February 6, 2018, President Muhammadu Buhari actually instituted a reconciliation committee headed by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What does that tell you? It tells you that all was not well within the party. And that was part of the alibi that the party put forward on February 27th to say, look, let Bola Tinubu's committee be able to reconcile everybody rather than going into election. They foresaw that it was going to be rancorous the way and manner it has turned out to be. But again, for want of something better to say, I would just say it was a fair outcome.
All right, so we'll put these questions to Mr. Osita Okechukwu. The mixed reactions that trailed the congresses in many states, and like you yourself admitted, the violence in one or two places that was fatal in at least one state. What do you say to that?
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that is an axiom in the communication theory that bad news make headlines. Good news are tucked inside the pages. So I can understand where my brother Jide is coming from. It's not a replication of the PDP days. Now, the issue, if you come from an area where I come from, the Southeast, for instance, the PDP never conducted any election. I know when the governorship is coming, like in Enugu, there's little or no election. So you cannot compare what we did with that of the PDP. It's not a fair assessment. Why am I saying so? The point of the matter is that the constitution of the APC says even if you want to do consensus under Section 20, it must be affirmed not just by affirmation only. There must be votes. The minimum is void votes or raising of hands. That will be counted. So it's not as if we just ran the show the normal way now. We didn't do, we advanced more than that. And if you've taken time to go through some of the areas where it was conducted, you could see lineups. Some lasted very late in the evening hours, with rancor free. Yes, some people claim that there was a parallel Congress, but it cannot be called parallel Congress in the fact that if you get together in a village square, you conduct the election yourself, you were very much aware that a panel is coming to Abuja, from Abuja to your state. And you said, why should the panel go to the party secretariat? Even if INEC calls the stakeholders before every election, the invitation goes to the chairman of the party of that state. And whoever the chairman of the state is coming with makes up the stakeholder of that party. But some individuals said, no, the panel should not touch the state secretariat. They went into hotels. And the guideline is very clear. Unless there is no state office or local government office or ward office of the party, the activities of the panel must take place. Unless if it's not conducive, which is just minimal position. But some individual, either because they have never worried, either you are given an appointment in Abuja or in your state, and you never worried or cared a little hoot to get in touch with the party leadership. It becomes too late in the day for you now to say that the party leadership does not exist. If it does not exist, on that good platform are you contesting? So it's not actually a parallel Congress. It is not. It can be called. It can be called a get-together of friends.
All right. So can it also be seen as a little bit of rancor within the party membership?
No, he was saying the party is edgy. The party is not edgy. The point of the matter is that there are two issues confronting the party leadership. One of which is that unlike before, even pundits are coming to terms that President Muhammad Buhari has 70% chances of winning in 2019, since they have declared that he's running. Then you find everybody who wants to hold ground somewhere. So it's not about being edgy, it's about an agitation to be part of the victory that they are foreseeing. If there were a political party like the PDP, if PDP had not been regionalized, if PDP was as buoyant as it used to be and was coming up strong, then the issue could have been different. But now the people are seeing Mr. President coasting to victory. So how do you position yourself in your state? So some woke up very late.
All right.
That is the point. It's not about being edgy.
Okay, we'll still return to some other issues, but you know, this is something that we see, I mean, regardless of party now, we see across board in the political makeup of this country. What leads to it?
You know, Harold Laswell defined politics as authoritative allocation of values. Politics is about who gets what, when, and how. The spoils of office is what is bringing about all of this agitation. I bet you if this congresses and convention is not an elective one, possibly you will not have seen anything close to what we are witnessing in terms of rancor, in terms of violence, in terms of agitations. But because it's an elective Congress and whoever gets into positions now gets to conduct primaries, and whoever gets to conduct primaries also, you know, is in a poor position to get appointments, you know, when the chiefs are down, if the party wins at the next general elections. And they are all going to be in office for 4 years. So it is not unexpected that there will be war of attrition. Because, like my brother here has rightly said, they are foreseeing a re-election. And everybody wants to be in a position to say, I delivered. So it is who you put in position now from what? It's you know, it's like building a house. The ward executive, the local government executive, the state executive form part of the delegate that will eventually come to Abuja for the elective convention. Now, when all the executive positions have been filled, they will now be the one to conduct party primaries in the last quarter of this 2018. Now, we know how party primaries pans out in Nigeria. Your nomination has to be endorsed by the chairman and maybe secretary of the party and all of that. So, you know, even where the primaries are held and somebody is declared winner at the primary, the party may say in its guideline that, okay, that's not the final word. The executive determines who will be the nominee of the party. And that's why you see a lot of people policing their nomination up to the point of submission to INEC. Because anything can happen between the time the primaries were held, and who are the people responsible? They are this same set of executives that are being installed or being elected at this point. So that's why the agitation is so fierce. And this is usually the norm in big parties, particularly in Nigeria. You won't see much of this in developing parties or parties that have not really gotten the clout in terms of national clout. You won't see much of it because much of their own election or convention is just, you won't even get to hear about it in the media. Maybe a snippet of it will get into the media. But when you talk about the big shots, the big parties, apologies for using that word because every party is supposed to be equal, but in terms of membership, in terms of clout, in terms of representation at the different political elective offices, you can say some are bigger. Right. So you see this, irrespective, even if APC ceases to exist today and we have another party, this will actually be the norm. In as much as it's an elective one, in as much as these people hold the power about nomination, who gets to be the flag bearers of parties. And write this down. You will see the aftermath of all of this by the time party primaries are conducted later in the year. Because that's why you see a lot of altercation between the governors and the ministers, Abuja politicians and the state politicians. Because it's about struggle for power. It's about interest. It's about positioning ahead of the general elections.
All right, we'll issues there, but I believe that our lines are already open and the calls are beginning to come through. We have Yusuf calling in from Taraba. Hello, Yusuf. Hello, Yusuf, are you there?
you doing, sir? Hello?
Hello, go right ahead, Yusuf.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Go on.
I'm with you, sir.
Right.
Hello?
Yes, Yusuf, what's your contribution to this topic?
Hello?
All right. Once again, for those who will be phoning in, once your name appears on screen, please go right ahead and ask your question or make your comment. Right. Would it be right to say that the political class still has a long way to go in matters like this in Nigeria?
There's no difference in what is happening in Nigeria, what happens all over the world. The party political position is the same all over the world. It's the only association on earth whose mandate is to seek for power. A few days ago, in Malaysia, a 90-year-old man was elected. What was his cards? He left the party. He was a member of the United Malaya Union, previously when he was a prime minister before. But now, he went into what is called a new political party called PH. That PH, Parastam Batakan, was just because of, just like President Muhammadu Buhari today, his followers across the country are looking at his tangibles. Why are we following this man? His vision, his transparency. So it's not different from that. When Mahathir was leaving, trying to declare his interest, a lot of people dismissed him.
But must there be debts when it comes to...
No, the debts is an issue that sometimes is local. If, for instance, you take that, like the James I talked in Ugeli, just died before the election. They killed him before the election. You never know what happened. If it is in a country where investigation is prompt, we might know that it might not be all true connected with the party. In Rivers State, a group of hoodlums went to the APC secretariat, circled it before the Congress, and there was shootout. Both of them died with the police. So there was no Congress then. So please, let us not always situate Nigeria as if Nigeria is a bad country, everybody's bad now. The issue, as Jide said, is that the contestation, there was a time I was the leader of the defunct Congress for Progressive Change in Enugu. I was the governorship candidate in 2011. We were very few, and we were looking for people. There was no factions. The old parlance says that the bigger the market,
All right.
the more noisy the market is.
Okay, we'll return to that, but back to the phone lines now. We have Mohammed calling in from Kaduna. Hello, Mohammed. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Mohammed from Kaduna. Hello.
My name is Mohammed. I'm calling from Kaduna.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah. I'll say something about what Mr. Jide just said. He's right that NDC beat AG during the election, and it is not just right. It's like PDP coming back, but they can do it. I'm with APC 100%. I will vote for Buhari in 2019, but they just need to follow the constitution of the country and the constitution of the APC, and that way we'll have the change we're looking for. Not just the change the mantra that people are just talking about. We are not just there yet. They need to be bold in making their decision. Whatever they want to do, let it be just straightforward. We have a little bit of problem right here in Kaduna, and it's not much. It's just hoodlums just trying to just destabilize people from the election polls. So I'm with Mr. Jide, but I'm with APC at the same time. They just need to just be bold.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Mohammed. Well, you heard the man.
I heard Mohammed. What Mohammed fails to understand as well is that today's record in Nigeria has over 50 registered political parties. All of them combined do not make up to 20% of the Nigerian electoral population or Nigerian population. So the parties are infinitesimal to what happened to the electorate. The electorate in Nigeria by 2019, what would they judge Muhammad Buhari with? How far have you gone with his roads? He promised them that he will advance the federal roads, and he has started with about 5,000 federal roads, 5,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers of rail lines, additional 5,000 megawatts. That is what concerns the electorate. What is happening in the party in Kaduna, for instance, is that it's possible, as I said before, that the Abuja politicians in Kaduna did not reckon with the local group. If you do not reckon with the local group, when the time comes, it will pay back time. But if you have a synergy with them, they might not be the best of characters you might have, because we're not going to heaven to bring angels. So, Mohammed, is not the same thing you're saying. The position of the party about elections is different from what happened in internal democracy. The party's democracy, there's a party called Congress of the Congress of the Congress Party in India. They were not doing internal democracy. What they were doing is that before any election, they would do a survey. There was a time Sani Gandhi, the wife of late Gandhi, wanted to run for an election. They did an internal survey and discovered that she wouldn't win. They had to go for the best. So it is not about the parties. The people overemphasize internal democracy. There's no organization that had no benchmark of those who actually influence. Every market has those market holders who go for the market more than others. So the point of the political parties is the party sensitive enough to know what the Nigerian public is looking for. Right. Who are they looking for?
So would that be the same thing as saying there are certain considerations which override internal democracy in the party?
No. Internal democracy is an ideal. Okay. It's an ideal that every political party pursues, which is very, very godly, noble, and patriotic. But the truth of the matter is that any political party on earth, both the Republican Party of America, Democratic Party in America, the Pakistan People's Party in Pakistan, as I said, the PH in Indonesia, all of them have the same attitude. That attitude is first and foremost those who control the levers of the party, either by legwork or by finance, they must have more influence on what goes on in the party. It's a natural course of events.
Are we still on the phone lines? We have Patrick. Is Patrick still there? Yes, Patrick from Kaduna. Hello, Patrick.
Yes. Good evening, Presenter. I just want to say that I agree with Mr. Ojo completely. What he's saying is the true position of things. And Mr. Okechukwu is just talking to protect his job and not considering the interest of Nigerians. He's just talking as a person who is, you're just talking because you want to protect your position, you want to be carried along, and you're not talking as somebody protecting the interest of Nigerians. Because the truth is that everybody can see it clearly. And you are not talking as somebody who really wants to talk so that Nigerians can have the benefit of APC. We voted for APC because we want a change. And the change we voted for, we are not seeing the change. We are not seeing the change. For example, something happened in Kaduna State. They had an election. And the election was just a mirage. You understand? We voted for this change and want to see the change practical. And it is not in there. And you are talking the way you're talking because you want to defend yourself, you want to be carried along, you want to protect your job. You're only protecting your job, you're not talking for the interest of Nigerians. Mr. Ojo is speaking sense and he's saying what it should be. And when people come on air, they should say things that ordinary Nigerians will be happy with you and appreciate your position. Mr. Ojo, please, congratulations, just keep it up. I love what you're doing. Thank you.
All right, Patrick, thank you.
Can I address Patrick?
Yeah, well, sure. Certainly.
Patrick, I'm so happy what he said. I'm not saying, I said that internal democracy is an ideal, but Patrick, you're also a witness that if the federal government of Nigeria, with their states, the Kaduna state, borrowed $250 million to advance the educational system in Katsina, and some of members of your parliament, those who represent you, stood up and stood the issue down. They didn't consider who would benefit in Kaduna State, what will happen to the educational system in Kaduna State, why is Kaduna State not doing as well as they could have done if they have such funds. So if those parents and those other people at home sees such voting as against them, you do not consider it as important. Please consider it. Because everything is not about party ownership or party secretary or chairman. It is about the development of the country. It is about growing the poor. If you don't advance that the poor should be grown in Nigeria, if you don't advise that the farming going on in the agricultural system going on in Kaduna, the companies coming to Kaduna, how I wish it comes to my own state. You did not regard those ones as an advancement of Kaduna people.
All right. We have another caller from Calabar, Victor from Calabar. Hello, Victor. Right, I think that. Well, Jide, from what you have seen, how would you assess the level of, since we are on the subject of internal democracy in the parties, how would you assess the level of internal democracy in Nigeria? Not just the APC this time, but in all the parties.
I think we have a long way to go. Party system in Nigeria, with due respect, we are far from the ideal. We are very, very far from the ideal. There's no constitutionalism in our party politics. Mr. Okechukwu was referring to the party guidelines, the party constitution, the party manifesto. But lo and behold, I mean, I'm using APC as an instance. Why did they come to say, oh, we want to extend the tenure of the current executive for another 1 year, when they know that Section 223 of the Constitution and Section 17 of their own party constitution was against that? Must it take the president to ask the NEC to rescind that decision and go for election? You will have thought that a party that prides itself on the mantra of change will be on the forefront, and that even 6 months before the tenure of the current executive, they will have even marshaled. INEC rolled out the timetable for 2019 election 2 years ahead. One would have expected at least 6 months or sizable, reasonable timeline for the elections to be here, but rather they said they want to extend the tenure of the current executive. Now the same executive, we have seen the aftermath of it, invasion of courts in Rivers. Can we divorce that from what happened under APC? I mean, it's very shameful to the extent that the CJ has come out with a press statement to say that democracy is under threat. This is just internal affairs of political party, and you are having invasion of court. You have a death in Lagos, you have in Benue, you have in Rivers, you have in Delta. And we are saying that, oh, we can paper over it, it doesn't really matter. I'm not by any stretch of imagination limiting my condemnation to what happened under APC. I said it earlier, under PDP, we never even have anything fairer. It was even worse because impunity was the order of the day. But one would have expected that we are learning from history. We cannot continue to hide under the guise of nascent democracy. How nascent can our democracy be? 20 years or thereabout into this fourth republic. We need to have something better. There should be, I mean, if it's not about vested interest, if I offer myself for election and you said no, I should go back to my work. If I have other means of employment, I should not be desperate so much so that you vandalize party secretariat, you burn down party secretariat, you invade court, you kill and maim and destroy people's property. That is not the ideal. So for me, all parties in Nigeria needs to redouble their efforts to work on ensuring internal party democracy.
All right, let's go back to the phones now. We have another caller, Umar. Yes, Umar from Katsina, hello.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Good
yes,
evening.
Go ahead, please.
All right. Yeah, the contribution I want to give to this discussion that you guys are having is that we have two major political parties here in Nigeria, the PDP and the APC. The issue is that talking about the internal democracy of each party it goes to the root of the political public image of that particular party. So the issue that is happening in the APC ward and the other internal polls that are going on right now are similar to that of what we used to have in the APC. So what exactly is the change that APC are trying to portray? Since the issue of the internal politics of the APC is not as clear to the masses of Nigeria that the way they expect it to be. So I want to throw in this question so that people will understand the actual idea, because having a political icon like Muhammadu Buhari alone is not enough for Nigerians to just jump into this kind of political party and it will be enough. So what exactly are APC trying to say? Because they are doing the same rigmaroling and other uncalled behaviors that we used to see in the earlier. And we need to develop. We need to pass all these stages. So all this mechanism and vandalization of party properties, I think politics of Nigeria needs to leave that kind of activities and go for the better. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Umar from Katsina. Well, again, Mr. Okechukwu is here and respond to the issues that you raise.
Thank you very much. We share the ideals that Omar is talking about. I was a member of the major committee of the APC. We sat down and did our constitution and our manifesto. If you go into the section 220 of this constitution, you find where the APC stated its position. And in all the ward congresses we conducted and the local government congresses, we followed more than 90% of the rules of the parties. Jida is talking of his expectation. We're not saying about the expectation. The expectation is marked by the fact that what I said earlier on, that there's an old axiom that bad news is always on the front page. Good news is tucked inside the pages. Out of about 10,000 wards across the country, we didn't have breaches in up to 90% of those wards. We didn't have breaches in up to 90% of the local council in the country. So, but it's very easy for the few spots. Yes, these are bad spots. But those bad spots should not cancel out the good work going on. So please, ladies and gentlemen, we know one death is very painful. But we're saying you don't cancel out the result. Because the editor, if you're an editor, that should be your headline. Your headline should not be that there were peaceful election in Kano. It can't be that there were peaceful election in Oshu. That might not be a headline. So please, we are sharing the same objective to advance Nigerian democracy, internal democracy, and also where we're paying attention is critical infrastructure that will empower our youths, that will encourage the private sector to develop private companies, not just captains of industry without industry. So those are where our emphasis is. What can get the greatest unemployment in the country out of the way? What can provide additional electricity so that the companies can work? How do we improve transportation? So don't get bogged down by the few instances. Right. We agree with those incidents.
We have another caller this time from Lagos. Abubakar calling in from Lagos. Hello. Hello, Abubakar. Well, we might just have to move on without Abubakar. Well, let's look at one or two other matters which also have to do with the level of, the cohesion within the party. Just last week, a group called itself the a new PDP. So those were part of those who joined the APC, the new PDP, and it was like they were given an ultimatum, and they raised questions about what they called marginalization. Shortly after that, there was another counter claim by another group which said it was pleased with all that was happening within the party. This second group was led by a serving senator. How is the party handling this?
You know, we cannot resolve all the issues on the ground in a day. There is a committee, as Jide mentioned, the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu committee. It's called the Reconciliation Committee. And everybody, whether those who do not like Asiwaju, you should agree that he is a veteran. He has fought many political battles. He's in a position to handpick one or two persons to help him to reconcile, but not until after we finish the congresses and maybe the National Convention. We'll bring all the parties together. But at the same time, when you see victory at the end of the tunnel, where are they going to? They're not leaving.
All right. We have from Enugu, Godwin calling in. Hello, Godwin.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Calling from Enugu. Madman Tankaya. So what I want to ask Okechukwu is from Enugu State. And they have mentioned about road. What of Onyama who have turned a phonograph for vehicles? Because his hometown from Amankwe, it's not far from where I'm talking. From Onitsha to Enugu is no go area because of how the road is bad. We need that road to be done by AP's government because we are suffering motor fares there every day by day. As I'm talking now, when you go to that place now, we see up to 8 vehicles on the ground. Please, okay, you are our own man. We should talk about it.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Godwin from Enugu. Thanks for calling in. And Mr. Okechukwu will respond to that.
Please, I can understand what Godwin is saying. Godwin are one of those people. At a certain point, the people of the Southeast who are secretary to government, who are Minister of Finance coordinating the economy, who are Minister of Power, who are this, who are that, who are Chairman, House Committee on Works, Chairman, Senate Committee on Works, who allowed those roads to dilapidate. Suddenly, President Muhammadu Buhari, due to his integrity quotient, was able to access soft loan, one of which is Sukuk Fund. And we were called to a meeting by the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, His Excellency Babatunde Fashola. And he said the Saudis got 16.7 billion out of the 100 billion Mr. President borrowed. Which of the roads is our preference? And we chose Enugu Porakot, Enugu Onitsha. And the remainder of the money, Aba, Calabar, Umuahia, Ikoto-Ekpene, and others. And it's going on. I doubt whether Godwin had ever passed through that road because we passed through the road. Not up to 3 weeks ago, the APC Monitoring Committee of the Southeast, we went to the ongoing project, the second Niger Bridge, and we've seen the level where they have gone. Not only PPP, Mr. President is awarding the rare contract, where the controller of engineer, the controller of the Ministry of Works, told us that they're ending by July that first segment of foundation for the second Niger Bridge, and 14 billion had been expended. And he told us that about 100 and something billion is going to be invested in the second phase. So, Godwin, please pay attention, go around. Don't just read only in the newspapers and say that nothing is going on. Thank you.
All right, as we move towards the primaries that will come, and that's towards 2019, what do you see in the horizon, GD?
I'm scared about the eating up of the polity. Even though the president in his New Year message to Nigerians actually pleaded with us that this being preparatory to election year, the politicians should do well not to overeat the police. But what we are seeing with the APC primaries and all of that, the killings, the invasion of the courts, the parallel congresses, and all of that, does not booster one's confidence. Yes, it may not be 100% negative, but you cannot blindfold yourself and say, oh, these few ones that are bad spots does not matter. It matters to me because look at what the flashpoint still remains flashpoint. And I think the security agencies need to redouble their efforts and make sure that they secure the environment well ahead of when the party primaries will be held, as well as when the general elections will be held next year.
All right. Mr. Osita Okechukwu, just quickly, there's a tweet here for you, and then you run off your comments as to what to expect with the impending primaries and 2019. The tweet here is from Isa Victor, and he says, why is Asiwaju Bola Tinubu not active this year? Without Bola Tinubu, you might lose the election. And what role are youths taking in your party? I haven't seen any young person being given an appointment.
Let me start with Asiwaju. Asiwaju do not need to go to the air to tell the people what he's doing for the growth of the APC and democracy in the country. They have been going around the country and they have been meeting stakeholders, trying to calm nerves wherever it exists. But as Jide said, we expect much interest and agitation because, as I said, when you're sure your party already has 24 governors, which means if you get a ticket for the House of Assembly in any of the 24 states, your chances are brighter. If you are running for councillorship of local council, your chances are brighter. And at the center, there's also a good picture that Mr. President, 70% chances so far. So we expect much interest, not the issue of crisis. What we are pleading for is that there is the rule of law. If you don't want to follow the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you don't want to follow the Constitution of the party, for God's sake, go and form your own army. You talk of Rivers State, for instance. It is very painful that the government of Rivers State, that is PDP, is trying to create schism in the APC. How come that the people got to know that there was a court going to sit to stop the APC primaries? We are human beings. The governor of His Excellency Wike should please allow APC to exist for democracy to thrive in Rivers.
And the case of the youths in your party?
The youths, I can also claim to be a youth. But we are talking of a Nigerian, 92-year-old, have been made a president. Okay. So the youths work on their own axis.
All right.
The youngest of the governors is from Kogi State.
Okay.
The youngest of the senator is from Kogi.
All right.
So if we talk about the youths, let's look both sides.
All right, we'll have to leave it here then.
Do well, you'll be recycled.
All right, thank you very much.
If you don't do well, you won't be recycled.
All right, we will leave it there now.
Thank you.
And say thank you to Mr. Osita Okechukwu, Director General Voice of Nigeria. Thank you for coming.
I appreciate it.
And Jide Uju, thank you for coming. It's always a delight to listen to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the honor.
Well.